My family cast me out at 17, believing my brother's lie. But years later, when they came crawling back, I shut the door and let the truth I unleashed bury them in its wake. The night my family threw me out, the world felt like it cracked open and spit me into the void. I was 17, standing on the front porch of our crumbling Victorian house in Astoria, Oregon, with nothing but a beat-up backpack and the sting of betrayal burning in my chest. My brother Liam, the golden boy, had just pinned his sins on me, and my parents, my parents, swallowed his lie faster than a seagull snatches a fry. The door slammed shut, the lock clicked, and the foggy night swallowed me whole. How do you go from being a kid to a ghost in your own home? That's the question that's haunted me ever since. Astoria is a sleepy town hugging the Columbia River, where the air smells of salt and diesel, and the horizon is a jagged line of fir trees clawing at the sky. Our house sat on a hill overlooking the river, its warped clapboard siding groaning under the weight of endless rain. The streetlights flickered like dying stars, casting long shadows across the cracked sidewalk. It was May, but the Pacific Northwest doesn't care about calendars. Fog rolled in thick, curling around the rusted mailbox and the sagging porch swing. Inside, my family was a ticking time bomb, and I'd always been the one they'd rather diffuse than deal with. I'm Ethan Carter, the kid who never quite fit. My folks, Dan and Carol, treated me like a spare tire, useful only when the real one went flat. Then there was Liam, 2 years younger, the kid they called their miracle after Mom's string of miscarriages. When they brought him home, Dad's eyes were wet, and Mom whispered, "Our light in the dark," like they'd won the Powerball. Me? I was the afterthought, the kid who got C's and D's because words danced on the page, twisting into knots my brain couldn't untangle. Dyslexia, probably, but Dad called it laziness, and Mom just sighed, "Why can't you be more like Liam?" Liam was their son, their star quarterback, their ticket to bragging rights at the local diner. I was the shadow they barely noticed. Our house was a museum of favoritism. Liam got the big bedroom with a view of the river, where the morning sun painted the walls gold. I got the attic, a drafty cave with a slanted ceiling that leaked when the storms hit hard. My PlayStation, a hand-me-down from a cousin, came with a timer. 30 minutes max, or Dad would yank the plug. Liam? He got a shiny new gaming PC, no questions asked, because he's got potential. When I made the soccer team, Dad bitched about driving me to practice, muttering about gas prices like I was bleeding him dry. But for Liam's swim meets, they'd haul ass 2 hours through winding coastal roads, cheering like he was Michael freaking Phelps. By 15, I was invisible, fading into the gray mist of Astoria's endless drizzle. I got a job slinging fish and chips at a greasy joint called Salty's, where the air reeked of fried cod and regret. Every dollar I earned went into a coffee can under my bed, my escape fund. I bought my own cleats, my own phone, my own damn life. Meanwhile, Liam was groomed for greatness, his every whim indulged. But last fall, when he started high school, something shifted. He started sneaking out, coming home with bloodshot eyes and the sour stink of weed clinging to his hoodie. One night, I found a rusted tobacco tin in our shared bathroom, stuffed behind a pile of crusty shampoo bottles. Inside? A baggie of pills, Xanax, not the study aids he'd claim later. I'd seen enough anti-drug PSAs to know this wasn't candy. "Liam, what the hell is this?" I held up the tin, my voice low to avoid waking Mom. We were in the bathroom, the flickering fluorescent light buzzing like a trapped fly. He smirked, leaning against the sink, his blonde hair falling into his eyes. Chill, Ethan. It's just to take the edge off. Not all of us are built for your boring-ass life. His words hit like a sucker punch, but I pressed on. These are serious, man. Where'd you even get them? He rolled his eyes, that teenage sneer perfected. None of your damn business. Go back to your algebra homework, loser. I wanted to shake him, to scream that he was spiraling, but he just brushed past me, leaving the air heavy with his arrogance. I tried telling Mom the next night. She was elbow-deep in dishes, the kitchen steaming with the scent of lemon soap and leftover clam chowder. Mom, I'm worried about Liam. I found pills in his stuff. She didn't even look up, just scrubbed harder. Ethan, stop it. Liam's not like you. He's got a future. Her words cut deeper than the coastal wind. I'm not lying. I saw Xanax that got her attention. She spun around, eyes like daggers. Were you digging through his things again? This jealousy crap needs to stop. Liam's a good kid. I held up the tin, but she swatted it away. You probably planted that to make him look bad. Honestly, Ethan, grow up. I stood there, the tin cold in my hand, feeling like I'd been slapped. Why bother? To them, Liam was untouchable, a saint in a Letterman jacket. I was the screw-up destined for a mugshot. Then I noticed Liam's phone. It lit up like the neon signs down at the pier, buzzing at all hours with texts from Jay. I caught glimpses of the guy picking him up, a dude in his 30s, tattoos snaking up his arms, driving a Mustang that roared like it was auditioning for a Fast and Furious sequel. Jace, his name was, with a greasy ponytail and a vibe that screamed bad news. One night, I cornered Liam in our attic, the rain drumming on the roof. That guy's a creep, Liam. He's way too old to be your friend. Liam laughed, pulling off his sneakers. Jace gets me. He says I'm going places. You're just pissed. Nobody gives a shit about you. I wanted to argue, to warn him about guys like Jace who prey on kids with stars in their eyes, but he just turned up his music and drowned me out. So I backed off, pouring my energy into extra shifts at Salty's, the grease stains on my apron a badge of my survival. The night it all went to hell was April 22nd, 3 weeks before graduation. I was up late cramming for a math final, my desk lamp casting a weak glow over my notebook. The attic smelled of mildew and old wood, the kind of damp that seeps into your bones. Around 2 a.m., I heard the window creak. Liam stumbling in, giggling like he'd just heard the world's best joke. His boots scuffed the floor, and he fumbled with the latch, cursing under his breath. You're high, I said, not looking up. So what? He flopped onto his bed, still in his jacket. Jace had the good stuff tonight. You should try living, Ethan. You're like a monk with that nerdy crap. I ignored him, focusing on my equations, but the air felt wrong, heavy with something I couldn't name. At 3:45 a.m., I jolted awake. A shout from downstairs, Dad's voice sharp as a harpoon. Who the hell was that? I crept to the stairwell, the floorboards creaking under my socks. The living room was lit by a single lamp, casting shadows like ghosts on the peeling wallpaper. Dad stood in his flannel pajamas, face red as a lobster, pointing at Liam. Mom clutched her sweater, her eyes wide with panic. Liam leaned against the wall, looking like a cornered fox. I saw a man sneaking out, Dad roared. What's going on, Liam? My brother's eyes darted up, locking on me at the top of the stairs. A flicker crossed his face. Calculation, cold as the river outside. He pointed. It's Ethan's friend, Ask him." The room went silent, the kind of quiet that sucks the air out of your lungs. 3 pairs of eyes snapped to me. Dad's face twisted, Mom's froze, and Liam's held a glint of triumph. "What's he talking about, Ethan?" Mom's voice was a whisper, sharp as broken glass. "I don't—" I started, but Liam cut in, quick as a knife. "It's Jace. He's like 30. I caught Ethan with him, doing drugs." My jaw hit the floor. "That's your guy, Liam?" But he pulled out the rusted tin, waving it like evidence. "Found this in Ethan's stuff." I was scared to say anything. Mom gasped, her hand flying to her mouth, tears already forming. Dad charged up the stairs, grabbing my arm so hard I felt the bruises forming. "You brought a drug dealer into my house? Around your brother?" "No, Dad, he's lying," I shouted. But Liam's lie was a tidal wave, and I was drowning. Mom sobbed, "How could you, Ethan?" Like she was auditioning for a soap opera. I looked at Liam, begging him to come clean, but he just stared at the floor, his face a mask of fake guilt. Dad's voice dropped, cold and final. "Pack a bag. You're out." Numb, I stuffed clothes into my backpack, my hands shaking so bad I could barely zip it. Mom stood in the doorway, arms crossed, shaking her head like I'd just confessed to armed robbery. "I always knew you'd disappoint us," she said. Dad marched me to the porch, the fog swallowing the house behind us. "Don't come back until you're clean," he spat, slamming the door. The lock clicked, and just like that, I was erased. I stood there, the river's distant roar mixing with the pounding in my chest. The fog was so thick I could barely see the street. My phone had 15% battery, no charger, and $38.50 in my pocket. Hardly a survival kit. I wandered down the hill, the damp air chilling my bones, until I reached a park overlooking the water. The benches were slick with mist, the swings creaking in the wind. I curled up on one, using my bag as a pillow, and stared at the black sky. No stars, just the weight of being thrown away. How do you rebuild when your own family writes you off? That question burned as I shivered through the night. The river's whispers my only company, wondering if I'd ever find my way back to myself. The fog clung to Astoria like a bad habit, wrapping the town in a damp, gray shroud as I lay on that park bench, my backpack a lousy excuse for a pillow. The ocean's roar was a distant lullaby, but sleep didn't come. My phone, down to 15% battery, buzzed once. A text from my boss at Salty's, confirming extra shifts. It was something, a lifeline, but not enough to dull the ache of being erased from my own family. I was 17, 3 weeks from graduation, and my parents had just thrown me out based on Liam's lie. My brother, the golden boy, had pinned his drug-fueled mess on me, and they'd swallowed it whole. The betrayal burned hotter than the coastal chill, but I wasn't about to let it sink me. I'd survived their neglect my whole life. I could survive this. By dawn, the sky was a bruised purple and my bones ached from the cold. I took stock. $38.50, a hoodie, jeans, a few t-shirts, and a phone that'd be dead soon. Not exactly Bear Grylls material, but I'd make it work. I trudged to Salty's, the fish and chip shack where I'd spent the last 2 years frying cod and dodging grease burns. The place smelled like old oil and regret, its neon sign flickering open like it was begging for customers. My boss, Tony, a grizzled guy with a smoker's cough, didn't ask questions when I begged for more hours. "Sure, kid, you're on for doubles all week." His voice was gruff, but there was a flicker of pity in his eyes. I didn't want pity. I wanted a plan. Next, I called Uncle Mark. He lived in a fancy hillside house across town, all glass windows and cedar siding, the kind of place that screamed, "I made it." Mark was Dad's older brother, the one who'd slip me a $20 at Christmas and tell me to keep my chin up. I sat on a curb outside Salty's, the river's briny scent mixing with the stench of my own desperation, and dialed. "Ethan, everything okay?" His voice was cautious, like he already knew the answer. I spilled the story, Liam's lie, Dad's rage, the 3 a.m. eviction. "I just need a place for a few days," I said, hating how small I sounded. Silence stretched like the fog rolling in. "Did you talk to your dad?" he finally asked. "He kicked me out, Uncle Mark. I slept on a bench last night." More silence. "I don't think we should get involved, Ethan. You need to sort this with your parents. Maybe once things cool down." I hung up before he could finish, my chest tight with a mix of anger and shame. Family, right? Always there until you actually need them. For the next week, I couch surfed. First at my friend Jake's, whose mom started asking too many questions about why I wasn't home. Then at my co-worker Sarah's, a college dropout with a studio apartment that smelled like patchouli and stale beer. Her futon was lumpy, but it beat the park bench. Through it all, I dragged myself to school, hiding the fact that I was homeless behind a fake smile and the same hoodie I'd been wearing for days. Graduation was close, and I wasn't about to let Liam's lie steal that from me. But the rumors were spreading. My parents, in true small-town fashion, were spinning a tale that I'd run off with some drug dealer, painting themselves as the victims of their wayward son. I overheard it in the school cafeteria, whispered between bites of soggy pizza. "Ethan Carter's mixed up with some sketchy guy. Total train wreck." It was like they'd written me out of their story and cast me as the villain. The breaking point came when Jake's mom called my parents to check in. That's when I learned they'd doubled down on their lie, telling everyone I was a runaway, a lost cause. I was in the school library, my head buried in a history textbook, when my math teacher, Mr. Hayes, found me. I'd fallen asleep, probably drooling on the Battle of Gettysburg. "Ethan," he said, his voice soft but firm, shaking my shoulder. "You okay?" I wasn't. The exhaustion, the betrayal, the weight of being invisible, it all crashed down. I told him everything, the words spilling out like a burst dam. Liam's pills, Jace's creepy Mustang, the 3 a.m. showdown, the bench. He listened, his face unreadable, then said, "You've been homeless for 2 weeks and still showing up to class?" I shrugged. "Graduation's in 9 days. I'm not missing it." That night, Mr. Hayes drove me to his place, a modest bungalow on the edge of town with a view of the river's mouth. The air smelled of cedar and wet earth, and the house had a quiet warmth that felt foreign to me. "The garage apartment's not much," he said, showing me a small room with concrete walls, a twin bed, and a mini fridge. "But it's yours for $150 a month, utilities included. My wife and I don't have kids, so we've got the space." I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. It wasn't charity. It was a deal, and I could respect that. For the first time in weeks, I slept without fear of a drunk stumbling over me or the rain soaking my clothes. Graduation came and went. My parents didn't show, no surprise there. I missed too many finals to walk with my class, but I got my GED a month later, studying between shifts at Salty's. I applied for every scholarship I could find, writing essays on my breaks, pitching my future to faceless committees like I was selling a used car. All the while, I waited for a call, a text, a knock on the door, Some sign that my family gave a damn. Nothing. Not a peep. They'd told everyone I'd landed a full-ride scholarship to some fancy engineering program in California, a lie so polished it could have been on a billboard. Meanwhile, I was flipping fish and sleeping in a garage, proving them wrong one greasy paycheck at a time. 7 years passed. I worked my way through community college, transferred to a state university in Seattle, and graduated with an accounting degree. I landed a job at a small firm in the city, where the skyline glittered against the Puget Sound and the air smelled of coffee and ambition. I adopted a 3-legged rescue dog, Tripod, a scrappy mutt who became my shadow. My apartment was small but mine, with a view of the Space Needle on clear days. I'd built a life, not perfect, but real, something they couldn't take away. Then, out of nowhere, Liam texted, "Mom's sick, she's asking for you." I stared at the message, the old wounds reopening like a bad stitch. 7 years of silence, and now this. I deleted it, my thumb hovering over the block button. I didn't owe them anything, but the past has a way of clawing back. A week later, another message came, this time from an unknown number. "You don't know me, but I'm Jace. I dated your brother when he was 15. I'm sober now, trying to make things right." My stomach twisted. Jace, the creep with the Mustang, the one who'd cost me everything. He sent screenshots, texts between him and Liam, photos of them in a dingy motel room, details no stranger could fake. "I was 32, he wrote. "Liam was scared your parents would find out, so he blamed you that night. I was high, scared of jail, so I went along with it. We kept seeing each other for a year after you left. I sat in my apartment, Tripod snoring at my feet, the city lights blurring outside. 7 years, and now the truth? It was too late to fix anything, but it was proof I wasn't crazy, wasn't the villain they'd made me out to be." I didn't respond to Jace. What was there to say? "Thanks for ruining my life, glad you're sober now?" Instead, I forwarded his messages to my parents and Uncle Mark. No comment, just the raw evidence. Then I blocked their numbers, took a mental health day, and drove with Tripod to a state park outside Seattle. The forest was thick with moss and pine, the air clean and sharp. I hiked until my legs burned, sat by a lake, and let the truth settle. I didn't care about their reactions. I didn't want apologies or excuses. I wanted to be free. A week later, a text from Jake's sister, Mia, lit up my phone. "Ethan, the whole town's buzzing. The truth about you and Liam is everywhere. Your dad flipped out at the coffee shop when someone asked about you. Your mom's avoiding everyone. Liam's a ghost now. His friends ditched him. His boss fired him." I didn't ask for details, but Mia kept me updated. Liam's life unraveled fast. His apartment lease wasn't renewed, his car got repoed, and he was sleeping on the streets until Mia, out of sheer decency, let him crash on her couch. Not forgiveness, just humanity, something my family never showed me. My parents left voicemails I deleted unheard. Uncle Mark sent a weak, "I should have helped you. I'm sorry." Too little, too late. I blocked him too. Months later, an email from Mom landed in my work inbox. "Ethan, your father's sick, stage 4 lung cancer. He's asking for you. Please come home." No apology, just a plea, like I owed them for the privilege of being their scapegoat. I didn't reply. A week later, another email. "You're holding on to resentment, Ethan. We didn't know Liam was lying. We were protecting our family." Classic gaslighting, straight out of the playbook. Then Liam texted, not with tears, but honesty. "Dad's dying. Mom's freaking out about medical bills. She's asking about your job, your savings. They don't care about you. They want your money. I wasn't shocked. It was always about what I could do for them, never who I was. A letter followed, Dad's shaky signature at the bottom. I know we weren't perfect, but we gave you a home, food, a chance. Help your mother with these bills. It'd give me peace. No remorse, just entitlement. I sent a curt reply. I survived without you at 17. You'll figure it out. Then I blocked Mom's email, cutting the last thread. When Uncle Mark showed up at my apartment, uninvited, I didn't let him in. Tripod growled, sensing the bad vibes. "Ethan, your dad's dying," he pleaded. "I know," I said, "and I'm not his ATM." I closed the door, gentle but firm, and felt a weight lift. Dad died a week later. Liam texted from a friend's phone. "He's gone." I waited for grief, but all I felt was quiet relief, like a storm finally passing. I didn't go to the funeral, didn't send flowers, didn't post some sappy tribute. I ordered takeout, walked tripod, and lived my life. My family's world crumbled. Mom sold the house. Liam dealt cards at a dive bar, but I was done carrying their mess. I'd built something better. A job, a home, a dog who'd never betray me, and friends who chose me. The real revenge isn't burning bridges. It's walking away and never looking back, letting them choke on the ashes of their own lies.